Little Miss Recap contains adult language and is intended for entertainment purposes only. Hi everyone, welcome to Little Miss Recap, the podcast where we will promise to erase all of your data if you give us $50.
Yeah. And never keep those promises.
Yes, never keep those promises and sell your data off, I'm sure, to other companies.
I'm sure.
Yeah. Guys, my name's Amye Archer. I am here today with my lovely friend Shabnam. Hello, good morning.
Hi, good morning.
You're on the West Coast, so it's morning for you, right?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
I had to record MILF Manor this morning with Amanda, and it's this week is
a lot of recordings.
MILF Manor itself is very problematic this week. Are you watching?
I haven't been able to watch. No.
You know what? Don't.
Okay, skip this one.
Skip this one. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. The women are holding a slice of watermelon in their crotch. And the men have to eat the watermelon.
Oh, I saw that picture in the Facebook group. That's what that was. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So you might want to skip that one and just listen to us talk about it.
Yeah. Well, I did enjoy McBee Dynasty. So that one was really fun.
Yeah. Axel has been podcasting for like 15 years.
Okay.
And he has a great radio voice, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. Yeah. He actually, his voice reminds me of Dylan Bear from Couple to Throuple.
Oh, yeah. What was I calling him? Hulk.
The Hulk, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
he's got that nice radio voice, and he started his podcast when Lost was on.
Oh, wow. Okay. It's been a minute.
Yes. And he was telling me that when they first started, they would have like 6 to 8 hour episodes where they'd just be talking about Lost.
Oh my gosh. Wow, that's intense.
I know. I'm like, I might need to go listen to that because I love that kind of intensity. So,
and Lost was a great show.
Lost was a great show. I really loved when, you had the initial plane crash or whatever, but I loved how they used to take us back into each character's backstory. That was so great. And then, they kind of flubbed the ending, but we won't talk about that.
Yeah.
All right, my friend, are you ready to start this?
I'm ready.
Today, guys, we're talking about Ashley Madison, sex, lies, and scandals. First, Shabnam, I want to ask you, do you remember when this happened?
I do. I was, so what year was it? I was like 29. So yeah, I remember it. Yeah.
Now, were you in law school at that point? Were you done with law school? Were you lawyering somewhere?
I was done with law school. I was lawyering / working in cybersecurity. So
this is kind of your jam.
Yeah. It is. Yeah.
I remember when this happened, Howard Stern was talking about it constantly, and I was listening to him back then.
Oh, interesting.
And they were like, pouring through the lists and talking about it all the time. And so I do remember it happening. But again, there's like this period of time in my life. There's 2 periods of my life that I don't really remember. One is right after I had my girls and I was just sleep deprived for like 5 years. And the other one is when we were building our house. And so we were building our house at that time, and I just wasn't paying a lot of attention to things. So that happened.
Well,
but
now you get a refresher. Right?
Now I get a refresh. I do.
Yeah.
I remember Ashley Madison. Like I remember the billboards and everything and the advertising.
Yeah. Same. The whole finger on the lips picture. Yeah.
Yes. All right, guys. So we're going to cover all 3 episodes in this one episode, and we've each done a little deep dive in certain areas. So we will begin with episode 1, which kind of takes us through like what Ashley Madison is.
Yeah.
So we meet Evan Black first, and he sort of acts as the narrator throughout. He's an Elton John type figure. He's got the little funky glasses. He's funny.
Took him like 5 minutes to decide which kind of glasses he wanted to wear for the video. That was entertaining.
Yeah, he's our people, I think.
Yeah.
And he worked for Ashley Madison for 10 years. We learned that the company was founded in 2002 by Darren Morgenstern, who we never hear from.
Right. Yeah.
We hear from his brother.
Yeah, randomly. That was odd.
What has happened in my life when Jenny has to show up and be the spokesperson for me?
you something you want to stay far away from.
I'm not trusting that. I'm not trusting it. So the name comes from the two most popular female names in North America, Ashley and Madison.
Yeah.
Which and they're like, "It sounds so high class." I'm like, "Does it?
Yeah.
Does it?" Like, I just feel like they could have been a little more creative with the name.
I'm wondering if it was, like, someone that worked there had, like,
2 kids.
2 mistresses named Ashley and Madison or something? I don't
Oh,
know.
maybe. Yeah, maybe. So they really couldn't get it off the ground, and then this guy Noel Biederman comes in, and he was a sports lawyer, so he's
Mhm.
used to talking. And he pushes the envelope, and he really grows the site.
Yeah.
And he went from their first one of their first slogans, which I thought was good, was
Mhm.
"When monogamy becomes monotony."
Yeah, I thought that too, but then they were saying that somehow people thought it was about wood.
Yeah, they thought it was mahogany.
Yeah, which is also kind of punny if you think about it. They thought
Yes. And Noel comes in. He's like, we're cutting straight to the chase. It's going to be life is short, have an affair.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Um. Okay. Now we meet Sam.
Mm.
Okay. Let me get the shame bell. Okay. When I first met this guy, I had
Mhm.
no idea who he was. I didn't know he was a Christian vlogger. Never
Right.
heard of this man before in my life. I was like, "Who's this cutie?"
Yeah.
And now I'm like, "Oh, like I
Yeah.
just want to beat that out of myself." Right?
He's
He's
always got
cute.
this. Yeah, but he is kinda cute, but then as the time goes on, he's always got this, like, deer in the headlights look in his eyes, like, he doesn't know what happened to him, and it's like, you were taking action, you know?
Yes, yes, yes. And okay, the only thing I will ever agree with him on is that Big Fish is one of the best movies I've ever seen in my life.
I gotta see that. I'm like
Oh,
yeah,
it's
okay.
so good. The
Alright, I
part
gotta
where
see it.
Ewan McGregor's like, "And I love you," like the part he talks about is
Uh-huh.
so great.
Oh,
So
okay.
great.
Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, 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 I remember him talking about that and the I think yeah, I remember that,
It's
yeah.
such a good movie. It's like fantastical
Mhm.
and creative, and it's just I love it. It's one of my favorite movies. I haven't seen it in so long. I might rewatch it.
Awesome.
He's married to Nia. Now, they become famous because they literally sang a song from Frozen that went viral. And here's a note.
Yeah.
He names the video Good Looking Parents Sing Disney's Love is an Open Door.
Very presumptuous of him.
Wow, like
Yeah.
I never refer to Timmy and I as good looking parents. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
We're like parents who sort of survived up to this point. We'll see what happens in the future. TBD. That's what we
Yeah.
are. So on August 5th, 2015, this creep claimed to surprise Nia with her own pregnancy.
Oh, this was so bad.
Oh, Shabnam, what'd you think of this? This was
I mean, okay, first of all, he, like, announced to everyone in the world that she's not a flusher, which is really gross.
yep.
And then he took a dropper in the toilet and, like, why? Why would you do this? You know? And also the title of the video, 'cause he called it, like, "Husband announces to wife about pregnancy," and I was like, "Is he kinda, like" it felt a little like he was trying to, like, bait some, like, trans viewers or something, but, like or trans supporting
Oh,
viewers,
okay.
but it was, like, not that at all. It was just, like, a annoying man that does this, like, gross thing and, like, steals his wife's pee. I don't know. I as a privacy person, I was like, "This is you cannot ta" I had this little conversation with my husband last night about is this like a violation? He's like taking her biometric data. And my husband was like, but like she abandoned it because she like peed and left it in the toilet. And so we were like
Wait a minute,
having
wait a
this.
minute, wait a
Yeah.
minute. What does your husband do for a living?
He's also a privacy lawyer.
Okay,
Yeah.
so this is what two privacy lawyers talk about.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love this.
Yeah.
I love this so much. Here's the thing. Okay, so I live in the country and I'm on a septic.
Okay.
So I get the not flushing. Okay.
Okay.
Now, if I pee 75 times a night, if I was to flush the toilet every single time in my own private bathroom in my bedroom,
Right.
I'll let it go overnight.
I
That's
see.
it.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just because you can't overwork a septic system. Like
Hmm.
then you're screwed. And Timmy has to open the lid and this has happened and get down into the septic
Oh
tank and
no.
pump
Yeah.
it
You
out
don't
into
want to
our
do
yard.
that.
It's a whole thing. Okay.
Hmm. Hmm.
So I get that. However, they live in the city, so that doesn't apply to them, but
Okay.
whatever. I just felt it was a huge violation. It was gross. It
Yeah.
felt gross to me, but I couldn't articulate why. But what you're saying makes sense.
Yeah.
It's like her material that
Yeah.
he's taking.
Yeah, and he just I don't like their relationship is odd to me, like the way he put the jelly on the handle of the
Mhm.
refrigerator
Mhm.
and like just he seems to like just mess with her a lot. And I don't know, that feels like
He's juvenile. He's like a big kid.
yeah.
And he
Yeah.
talks about how his dad left it. Like, I wonder if he had childhood trauma is stunted
Yeah. That's
because
the feeling I got. Yeah.
I'll have more on them later.
Okay. Good.
So, another thing that I can't stand, and
Mhm.
this probably, makes the hair on the back of your neck stand up because of a privacy thing. They
Mhm.
put every single aspect of their children's lives on YouTube.
Yeah, even when they're telling their children that she's pregnant and the children are like confused. They're like, "Baby
Yeah,
in the belly?" Like, "What?"
yeah.
Like I'm like, "Okay.
There's a video of I'll save it. I'll save it. Okay.
Okay."
So Sam is 24, Nia's 20 when they get married, and he says it got boring. So he started hanging out on Ashley Madison and meeting women. And his name was Dirty Little Secret Man. And he
Not
was in
very
real deep.
Yeah, not very creative for a viral vlogger,
No,
but,
no. Mm-mm. He says, and here comes that judgment. I skipped the pornographic pics. I only pick the nice. This is coded language for like
yeah.
I only pick the nice Christian girls who were on
Yeah,
there.
I was going on a site to cheat on my wife just for, like,
Hmm.
wholesome women,
Right.
I
So, but even though I'm being a scumbag,
yeah.
like I still expect them to be, the
Oh,
Madonna and the
yeah.
whore. I still expect them to be the Madonna. So
Yeah, ugh.
he says, I didn't really want sex. And meanwhile, his wife is literally home trying to be the perfect wife. She's like, I'm laying out his clothes, I'm making his
Ugh.
food. Ugh.
Yeah, I felt so, I don't know, gross for her, like, she was just doing too much, doing everything while this
Yeah,
guy is, like, not caring.
totally agree. So they claim to have all this security. And they also can't get their Ashley Madison, not Sam and
Mhm.
Nia. Ashley Madison claims to have all this security. They have those little ribbons at the bottom of their site that looks clearly like they were just created in Photoshop and put on there.
Yeah.
And they also can't get their ads anywhere. So Noel starts appearing on news shows and stuff.
Mhm.
And he's dragging his poor wife around with them.
Yeah.
And he's kind of referred to as the king of infidelity, but he's like,
Yeah.
I'm loyal to my wife. Like I would
Yeah.
never put up with that shit. But
Yeah.
I encourage other people to do it. And he even says on Katie Couric's show that this, and for some reason Dr. Phil's there. I don't know why.
Yeah, that was funny.
And he's like, this actually saves marriages. If you're unhappy, but you don't want to break up what you got going on, you can do this. You can get happy and then
Yeah.
come back to your spouse. No, dude. No.
Yeah, you can just
Mm-mm.
lie and deceive and, like, cheat on
Mm-hmm.
someone and then just keep going as if nothing happened.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I want to make it very clear, like, I am not shaming people who both partners consent to
Right.
have an open marriage, to have sex with other people who might be in ethical non-monogamy relationships or situations at all. I mean, that's
Right.
fine. This is not that.
No, this is lying and deceiving.
Yeah, this is sneaking around.
Yeah.
So Nancy Grace gets a hold of this guy, of course she does, and Noel, and she calls him Satan.
Yeah, wow.
I wish Ace was here to do the voice, but he's
Yeah,
not.
he's so good at it.
I know. I know. So the brand begins to build, and we meet Amit Jatani, I think his name is,
Uh-huh.
and he's hired as a director. And he says secrecy and discretion are vital to the brand.
Mhm.
We meet Kathy, who's a customer service rep, and she's like, wives would be calling me all the time. And I always gave them some general answer
Yeah.
about we built, like, what did she say? A central biller?
Yeah, she's like, basically that they bill for, like, a lot of different products, so she doesn't really know which one, and, "Oh, if it's really, like, an issue for you, we'll just take this, fee off of your card," and then the husband goes around and gives them a different card.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So women were never charged anything. So this is what I was wondering the entire time. How
Mhm.
many women are on this? So I did find a study, okay,
Okay.
that talks about who cheats more, like the
Okay.
statistics of who cheats more. It's really not that different. let me find it here. Like, you would think that men cheat substantially more than women, right?
Right.
But it's not. Let me find it. Okay, in general, men are more likely than women to cheat. 20% of men and 13% of women report that they've had sex with someone else. That's not that, that's only
Yeah.
7% difference.
Right, right.
I
Yeah.
mean, I guess it is a lot more, but it's not what I thought. I thought the discrepancy would be like 50% of men and 5% of women.
Right, right.
But no.
I wonder maybe if, like, there's some other aspects to this, like, maybe women have more long-term affairs, whereas men have a lot more short-term affairs or something like
Mhm.
that, maybe.
Women might have more emotional affairs.
Maybe, yeah.
I don't know. Maybe more women just leave.
Yeah, I think well, they say that's a s I believe that, there are statistics that show that when people get divorced, it's more often the woman that initiates it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I believe that. So they say they recruited women heavily, and Noel used to call himself a postmodern feminist.
Oh gosh. Yeah.
Okay. Then they go international. They're in India and they have this billboard that your parents arranged your marriage. Let us arrange your affair.
Right. That was
Wow.
pretty creative.
It's very creative, but that's not going to go over well.
No, not at
No.
all.
Mm-mm. They're in the Philippines where divorce is illegal.
Mhm.
So, Amit is growing more and more concerned about security. That's kind of like happening in the background. This
Yeah.
guy Amit's just like, oh my God, this is going real bad. Things are, it's not good.
Mhm.
So while the site is growing quickly, Noel is parading his wife Amanda around to show what a good guy he is. They go on The View. You have to have a spine of steel to go on The View,
Yeah.
knowing you're doing this kind of stuff. And he says, not all marriages are as great as ours, so people might need to cheat.
Mhm.
Okay. We meet this one couple who have an open relationship. Essentially, he uses Ashley Madison. The wife is a dominatrix. She has her own thing going on. This is fine.
Yeah,
That's fine.
they're both on the same page. They understand what's going on. This is was strange to me because it almost felt like they they set this up to where this woman Stephanie is like the cool girl, and
Yes.
like how she was how you say like she's encouraging other people to cool girl it, but she's like
Yes.
maybe this is
Yes.
actually her,
Yeah.
but other people maybe don't feel that way, and she was kind of put in there to be like, oh, this is fine, and
Mhm.
it's like, well, it's
Mhm.
fine for you because you know what's going on. You're a
Well, and it's
participant.
it's interesting too, like, if she knows about this, why
Mhm.
does he have to use Ashley Madison?
Right.
Like, why isn't he just on, like, a seeking arrangements kinda situation? Do
Or
you know what
like
I
any
mean?
just random dating site.
Right, and just
Yeah.
say, like, "I'm married, but we're in an open relationship. My wife's cool with this." I
Yeah.
don't know, it's weird to me.
Yeah.
It's like he could have dated single women. Maybe there was some kind of kink in it for him to date married women.
Maybe.
I don't
Yeah.
know.
Well, it feels like the branding of Ashley Madison was very much about that kink of like, this is a secret. This is
Yeah,
like,
yeah, you're right, yeah.
yeah.
So episode 2 deals with the hack. So right before the hack, Sam and Nia create their YouTube channel, and she's happy because she's like, he's home now. He's not working nights anymore. They get a ton of subscribers, and Shabnam, they're just showing people what it looks like to live for the Lord.
Mhm.
Okay, so if you have any questions about that, you just head over there. Okay.
Yeah. They're really, really interesting, these 2.
Oh, God. So on July 13th, 2015, the hack occurs.
Mhm.
Somebody, a customer service rep who's working overnight, gets a message on her screen, and it says, "We are the impact team. We have taken over all systems in your entire office and production domains.
Mhm.
Ashley Madison must shut down immediately and permanently. And if you don't, we're leaking everything."
Yeah.
So they had just been talking about taking the company public.
Right.
So Noel's like, this is going to crush our IPO. Like, we're
Mhm.
not doing this now.
Yeah.
So they keep it a secret.
Mhm.
And they hire Swedish Matt Damon to come in. Oh my God, this guy looks so much like Matt Damon.
Yeah, and he's just so wild. The black glasses guy, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Hmm.
He's a character.
He's like this wild hacker. So, of
Yeah.
course, when you want to figure out who it's kind of like, and I reference this movie all the time, Catch Me If You Can,
Uh-huh.
when Leonardo DiCaprio has to help the FBI
Yeah.
figure out forgers because he was
Right.
so good at it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you're right. It makes you wonder what was his first job.
Right?
Yeah.
So Swedish Matt Damon is like, I'm usually hired to, let's just say, be on the offensive. And now
Mhm.
I'm, trying to figure this out.
Mhm.
He's like a number one hacker. The guy Andre is in charge of this company, and he's
Right.
like, look, I don't judge. I'm a Swede. We're pretty liberal. Like,
Yeah.
whatever goes.
Yeah.
So they get to Toronto, and Andre just remembers panic. He's like, they were just panicked. There were no police called, no police involved at all. What are the police gonna do?
Well, so, oftentimes, like, companies will involve police if they think there is, like, potential for, like, violence or bodily harm. So,
Okay.
you did have they touched on suicide
Yeah.
in this documentary, and then they also had, like, the lady from Australia that was, like who, called into the radio, and
Yes.
then she was like, "Oh, my husband wouldn't do this," and they're like, "Your husband's on the list." And, we don't know what she might do. Maybe she
Yeah.
went and stabbed him, like, I don't
She could
know.
Lorena Bobbitt him. We don't
Yeah,
know.
exactly.
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
that's why you try to manage these things better than them. They literally did not much at all.
They
So,
did nothing.
yeah.
There were 14 million users at this point, and they
Mhm.
were making a ton of money.
Yeah.
So Swedish Matt Damon says they went into panic mode, the people at Ashley Madison, and they wiped their hard drives and shit because they
Mhm.
were freaked out. And he's like, that's not what you do. We
Yeah.
need to look at that stuff.
This reminded me of when McKelty fell off the horse and Cody started moving her. It's like, "No."
Cody's like, get up. If you could walk,
Yeah.
everything's fine. No,
Yeah.
stop.
Yeah.
So they're trying to figure out who this is. And it's a very controversial company. So they have probably pissed off a lot of people.
Mhm.
And Swedish Matt Damon did find something to indicate that it might be an inside job.
Yeah.
7 days after the hack, the Impact team announces this to the press. So they were trying to keep it quiet. The Impact team's like, nope, you're not keeping
Yeah.
this quiet. So it's all over the news, and users are calling and they're pissed, and talk shows were like waiting for the list, and the cops are pissed because Ashley
Right.
Madison never called them, and everybody's pissed.
Yeah.
Everybody's pissed.
Yeah.
So Sam hears about it now, and then they do the pregnancy test, and I just find that timing real suspicious.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about that more later.
Yeah.
And so the pregnancy thing goes crazy viral. And
Right.
he's able to quit his job and just be a vlogger. I hate the word vlogger so much. Cuz
Because of Sam or because of something else?
yes, because of Sam, but also because blogging isn't really a thing anymore.
Right.
So like words that are, oh, we're going to make it vlogging. Like
Yeah.
no, just no.
Yeah.
No. And the fact that they still use the term. Like I think when they started that was fine, but why is he doing it now? I don't know.
Yeah.
All right. So Swedish Matt Damon meets with the suspect. Now, was this good practice that you try and meet with somebody and bribe them?
I don't know about bribe them, but you could meet like if it's an employee, you could meet with someone, you ask them questions. It would be something that you would do. But also, what they didn't talk about here is like oftentimes, like hackers will use credentials of people that used to work for you to try to get into your system, which is why when someone leaves a company, you're supposed to terminate their credentials properly.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Mm-hmm.
clearly they weren't doing that.
Yeah. And that's what led them to this person is
Mhm.
the person's login. And he used to be a contractor for them or
Right.
something. And
Yeah.
so they try to bribe this guy. It doesn't go well. And by the time the police get to him, he's lawyered up. And they say, basically, Ashley Madison fucked this up. Like, we had
Yeah.
no recourse for this. So no one could figure out what happened. So they just played chicken and they hoped that they wouldn't dump it. But they did. They dumped it.
Worst strategy ever. But
Yeah.
yeah.
So everyone starts digging through the dump. We see Josh Duggar is found.
Yeah.
Snooki's husband, which, wow, what a shock.
Not that. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you used to watch that?
I did a little bit.
I did
yeah.
too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And of course, Hunter Biden is on there because every bad decision he could make in his life, he's going to make.
Exactly.
So there we
He's
go.
such a problem child.
Jesus Christ. So Sam and Nia find this out when they're heading to Vlogger Fair in Seattle, and he's checking social media and checking social media, and he sees this like random tweet pop up that he's been found out.
Yeah.
And he decides, I'm going to tell her on the way there. He just tells her, though, that he had an account and that was it. So she
And
says she was. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
So like I don't think they really clarified the extent of like what his participation in the site was. I'm assuming maybe you have a little more on that. We'll
A
talk about
little
later.
bit. They
Okay.
do talk. They do touch on it a little bit later.
Okay.
So he downplays it big time.
Yes,
And
exactly. Yeah.
the conference gets wind of it,
Mm-hmm.
and it's starting to come out, and she's humiliated.
Yeah.
Okay. We meet a couple named Christy and John,
Yeah.
and they live in New Orleans, and he's a teacher at seminary. And she says John was always a secret keeper, always. And she had discovered some affairs, and she kind of suspected that he might be on Ashley Madison, but like didn't dig too deep because
Right.
she kind of knew, but
It was like a don't ask, don't tell policy
kind of situation. Yep.
Yeah.
So this was so tragic because he
Yeah.
actually ended up taking his own life. And
Yeah.
she found out that earlier that day he had been let go from his job. So
Mm.
there are real life consequences to
Right.
this shit.
Yeah.
So douchey McDouchebag, Sam,
Yeah.
makes a video and is like, oh, guys, I know my name is out, but God forgives me and Nia does too. So we're good. We're good.
Yeah.
good.
And the thing that's crazy about this is you see how Sam uses Nia and how Noel Biederman uses his wife.
Yep.
And they almost use it as like a fake trust seal that they were putting on the back of their bottom of their websites. Like, well, she's good with it, so everything's fine. And I don't know, that like really rubs me the wrong way. It reminds me of I know you're not much of a Bravo fan, but this is sort of what Tom Sandoval did with Ariana before Scandoval. And it's just
so was Ariana the one he was with?
Yeah, Ariana was the one he was with.
And then he cheated on her with somebody else.
With her best friend, yeah.
Ew.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I remember I was co-hosting Pink Shade when all of that was going down, and almost every day Mary Payne had to explain it to me all over again because I just didn't know who the players were. But he's the guy with the little like John Waters mustache, right?
Yeah, I think he shaved it now, but he was at that time. Yeah,
he's a good-looking guy.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, they're all good
unfortunately.
Yeah, yeah.
Right, they're all very pretty people behaving badly.
Right. Yeah.
So he's like, I'm good. Everything's fine. So now episode 3 is the fallout of this. And so the authorities still can't figure this out. No one can figure this out. So now they start wondering. Andre and Swedish Matt Damon are like, could this be an inside job? Could this be Noel? Which is diabolical to think of.
Yeah.
And now I have a question for you. Why do you think this might be an inside job?
Because they did not. So this is like a ransomware attack, and normally when this type of attack occurs, they're usually asked for money, right? So
right, or something, right?
Yeah, but they were asking to shut down the service, and then they seem to have a lot of inside knowledge. They seem to get past like so securities of company security systems should be set up like kind of like an onion, like there's different layers of security. And they kind of got so far in that either the security was like really crappy or this person had a lot of knowledge. So it definitely also, later you hear about the $500,000 reward, and that didn't really seem to entice the individual or individuals. So there's just a lot of instances where I'm like, it probably was an inside job.
It seems like somebody was pissed off at Noel specifically.
And he was annoying, so I don't blame them.
But yeah, he was an asshole. Yeah. So he stopped showing up to work. He's just like, I'm not coming in anymore.
Yeah.
Now, on the way home from Vlogger Fair, douchey McDouchebag has to confess more to Nia. However, he's forced to do it because in
Yeah.
a group text, his brother starts to reveal that there's more to this.
Yeah.
So I don't think he would have, he makes it sound like, oh, my conscience was just so heavy.
Yeah.
This was weighing on me. I have to go do this. That's not what happened.
Right.
His brother, which I don't know, sounds like my worst nightmare, my entire family, even my in-laws being in a group text. Um, I love my in-laws, but like I don't want to
Yeah.
be in group text with everybody.
Yeah.
But the
Yeah.
brother was kind of like, dude, you need to be honest. You need to be honest. And Nia's like, what is he talking about?
Yeah.
So he pulls over, gets out of the car, and calls his pastor. And he tells the pastor, everything. And he said, like, I was kind of hoping my pastor would tell me I didn't have to tell her. That
Mhm.
getting and unburdening myself to you would be enough. But the pastor's like, no, dude, it's not
Yeah.
how it works.
Yeah.
So he tells her that he went to massage parlors, strip clubs, years and years of affairs. He says he cheated on her with her friends. He hit on one of her friends. And
Yeah.
she says the friend cut her completely out of her life and she had no idea why. Now she
Yeah.
knows.
It's
So
it's like there's so much betrayal there. It's not even just the actual like sexual acts, you know.
I feel like this guy has a sex addiction.
Okay. Yeah, I could see that. Yeah.
Like, maybe I shouldn't say that so plainly. I suspect. Let me just say
Yeah.
that. Because like it feels like this was very over the top. If he's
Mhm.
going to strip clubs, he's going to massage parlors, he's cheating with their friends. He's blowing through all those boundaries.
Yeah,
And
and
we
it
know he has a
makes
boundaries issue to begin with the
right, with
pee
the
in the
pee.
toilet.
Yeah.
Mhm. Mhm.
But it's like it's interesting that he even used the site. If he was going to massage parlors and stuff, like,
Yeah.
why the Ashley Madison, you know? And then he made this comment earlier on in one of the episodes about how, like, they did the Frozen video, and he was so, like, invigorated, like, by that,
Yes.
that he was like, "Oh, I
Yes.
don't need to go on the site anymore." And I
Yeah,
was like,
he keeps saying like it was feeding his attention, like his need for attention.
yeah, and it's like, well, then just find a hobby. Like, if that's what you want is, like, validation or enjoyment or excitement, just find another hobby, you know?
Yeah,
Mm,
yeah, he's gross. I
yeah,
don't like this guy. I don't like him because he seems not to respect any kind of boundary, and I don't that freaks me out.
yeah.
Hey everyone, stay tuned. Little Miss Recap will be right back after these words. So now they turn to Noel and they dump his personal emails for the world to
Mhm.
read. Wow.
Yeah.
In his emails, we learn he's not a good dude.
They kinda use this as justification that it wasn't him, but,
Right. Right.
in Bridgerton, the Lady Whistledown, like,
Look
gets
at you.
people yeah.
Lady Whistle down.
Yeah.
Okay.
She gets people off her trail of, like, who you know, what her real identity is because by doing this, by talking, by, like,
Mm,
releasing bad information about herself. So I was like, I'm not buying that totally, you know, justifies, or, like
okay.
yeah, that explains that it wasn't him.
Okay. Well, we learned that he has a real hard on for some 18 and 19-year-old girls.
Mhm. Yeah, that was weird because 'cause I'm like, are
Mhm,
you
mhm.
sure it's like, not like I hope it's not, like, younger than 18.
Yeah, yeah, I'm hoping that too.
Yeah.
And then we see emails where he's like, "Send me 2 girls and I'll choose one." Like, it's real bad. It's
Yeah.
real problematic. This guy needs keep a close eye on him.
Yeah.
The hackers leave a message and it says, "Noel, this is real now," which,
Yeah.
like you said, leads people to believe.
Yeah.
Inside job, somebody who knew this guy.
It
Uh,
feels a little convenient that all this happened after he was strongly being suspected, right? I don't know.
oh, yeah, yeah.
So
Like you said, they offered the $500,000 reward, and there's a reporter, I didn't catch his name, which is terrible of me, but there's a reporter who's like, this is his beat, his jam that he
mhm.
writes about, and he's like, usually when there's that big of a reward, somebody would have split off from the team to take it. Oh,
Yeah.
no, the cop says that. The cop says that,
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah.
So this
Um,
reporter now go ahead, I'm sorry.
it's Joseph Cox, I think, right?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, you're right. So Joseph Cox goes on the dark web trying to find the impact team.
Yeah.
And he gets some answers. And he's like, these people really hated Ashley Madison.
Mhm.
And they're and they said that Ashley Madison was misleading users and committing fraud. So
Mhm.
Joseph's like, fraud? What? And he
Yeah.
goes digging, and this is where we find the extra service of you pay us a little bit more
Yeah.
and we'll wipe your data forever.
Yeah.
Okay.
So deleting data is like really more complicated from an engineering perspective than most people think, especially because like if you join a service, they usually store your data in multiple places, like for billing, for using the services, for serving you
Mm,
ads, like things like that. So to delete is like more complicated. That's not to justify them not trying it all, but like they didn't even apparently have the functionality to, they hadn't even built like the functionality for it.
mhm.
So
Interesting. These guys don't seem like they wanna go the extra mile for anything and put in the extra work, so I can't imagine them being like, "There's 6 areas we need to take the data out of. Let's
yeah.
do that." Like,
Yeah.
because theoretically, with the money they were making for that extra service, you could probably have a small team that was they were
Oh,
just
yeah.
dedicated to that.
Yeah, and that's normally what companies would do. Yeah.
Right, but no. So, now we hear from Michelle McGee. And at first I was like, why are we hearing from Jesse James' mistress? Because of course I remember that entire scandal.
Yeah.
Do you remember Jesse James? Like
I
he was a thing.
okay, so I think all of that happened when I was in law school, so I, like you,
So
was,
you
like, not
yes.
yeah.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
were not plugged into the world.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah.
There was this whole thing with Jesse James, and I think Kat Van D was involved
Mhm.
somehow.
Mhm.
I don't remember, but I remember Jesse James being really popular for a little bit, and then he broke America's Sweetheart's heart,
Right.
and he
Yeah.
was never to be heard from again. But she was his mistress when he was married to Sandra Bullock, and they wanted to use her in an ad as a
Yeah.
famous mistress. So
Yeah.
that's how she comes around. And
Mhm.
then she says, years later, these guys start showing up at my work, and I think she's a dancer,
Mhm.
and these guys are coming in and they have like flowers, and they're like, we know you. What are you talking about? You're my girlfriend. And she finds out they're using her picture and stuff to
Yeah.
create profiles on Ashley Madison. And this leads to the revelation that many of the women are not real.
Mhm.
Ugh.
Yeah.
So the way that this works is like you pay per credit
Right.
and you have to buy credits. It's
Mhm.
kind of like, I don't know if you use Upwork for anything, but like I use Upwork for freelance stuff,
Okay.
and you have to buy credits to be able to apply for certain jobs.
I see,
It's so
okay.
stupid.
Mhm.
And it's kind of like that. And some of these guys are just spending these credits and talking to people and never meeting them.
Yeah,
It's
and
weird.
not even talking to real people, apparently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So most of these were bots.
Right.
And their IP addresses, like they weren't slick about this, all head right back to the Ashley Madison office in Toronto.
Mhm.
So they were having some of the customer service reps do this. It's
Mhm.
like, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
The board decides to fire Noel
Yeah.
at this point. They're like, mm-mm. Sam and Nia separate for like 5 minutes. And she's very disappointed in his
Yeah.
unchristian behavior.
Yeah.
She chose a Christian male to avoid this type of shit.
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
because labels will just tell you everything about someone's character.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So no one responds to the high reward. The cops think it's one person. The reporter's like, this is so weird that this hacking team surfaced, brought
Mhm.
this company down, and then left and was never heard from again.
Yeah, well, they had that, like, it was like 1500.mil.gov email addresses too, so
Yes.
I'm like,
15,000.
"Oh, 15,000. Oh, okay, yeah.
Yes.
So I feel like it just feels like if you were important enough, somehow you got part of, a deal that was cut and your information wasn't released, but if you weren't, then you're
Mm.
Sam. Like, I don't know, like, that's what it feels like. I don't know.
Or Hunter Biden,
Yeah, yeah,
who,
exactly. Yeah.
So a class action suit is filed. They win $11 million. They have to pay out $11 million. Sam
Mhm.
and Nia do marriage counseling with the pastor and his wife, which fine, whatever. For some people, that's comfortable.
Yeah.
And at least this pastor's married. When I
Yeah.
did pre-marriage counseling the first time I got married with my first husband, it was with
Uh-huh.
a priest who had never been married and never been in
Oh,
a relationship. Ended up
interesting.
getting arrested
Oh,
for
geez.
having foot pics of young underage girls and some
Wow.
other stuff that was happening.
Okay. That didn't go well.
It didn't go well. It didn't go well. So she's like, "Oh my god, he took so much responsibility." Nia saying Sam took so much responsibility.
Yeah.
He bared his flaws, and of course I had to forgive him, you know? I'm going to ask you a question.
Mhm.
You're married.
Yes.
I understand. I do give grace for and understand that some people can look past infidelity and they rebuild their marriage and it works for them. That's fine.
Yeah.
But I feel like this is a different level of betrayal
Yes.
that it went on for so long and
Yeah.
so deep. Like, could you get past this?
No, and it's a lot of, like, lying and using her and, like, just there's so much, like, trust erosion of from, like,
Yeah,
his behavior, his lack of boundaries, like, it's that stuff more than any act he did, It's that, like,
right.
him kinda, like, making a fool of her on that video of having her sit there, and he's lying, and he's still lying to her, like, that stuff's, I feel like, so much more damaging, you know?
Right. Like, I feel like the couple in New Orleans,
Mhm.
what were their names again? I feel bad.
Stephanie and something, I
No,
think.
no, no. Christy and John.
Oh,
The
Christine
the
John.
guy
Okay.
who took his own life, like
Yeah.
that couple. I
Mhm.
feel like it just seemed less gross to me what he
Yeah.
was doing.
Yeah.
Maybe because she kind of knew about it. I don't know.
I feel like
But
she
like,
was, like, accepting of whatever, like, maybe they didn't have conversations, but there's still, like, some kind of understanding there, Whereas, like, with Sam, he just seems like he's kinda, like, using Nia, lying to her, betraying her, like, and he doesn't really care, and she's, like, forgiving him for that, which I don't get that.
yeah, I don't get this guy. I'm telling you, he's like, I just get this. He gives me the vibe of I would bang the babysitter.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and then have a deer in the headlights look like, "I don't know how this
Like,
happened to me."
that's another
Yeah.
thing that he hit on her friends.
Yeah.
He had an emotional affair with one of her closest friends
Yeah.
and then hit on the other one and
Yeah.
drove her out of her life. Like, that is a boundary you don't cross.
Yeah. Yeah. That's another thing because I feel like she could get really isolated being with someone like that, and then that's
Yeah.
another problem,
Yeah.
because like, it seems like no one a lot of people don't wanna be around him, that's the kind of vibe
Yeah.
he gives off, like, if
Yeah.
everyone's like, "God, I can't even be around you, or you're gonna hit on me, or you're gonna do this or that," who would wanna be around him?
Well, and I just feel like one of the most important things to me in my relationships, and this is something I had to go to therapy to figure out,
Mhm.
is authenticity. So, like,
Yeah.
I would rather Timmy say to me, "I'm miserable and here's why." You know what I mean? Like, I'm
Yeah.
very, even if it hurts, I want
Yeah.
you to be authentic.
Yeah.
This guy is the least authentic person I think I've ever met.
Yeah.
I
That's
never
the
met him,
thing.
but I've ever encountered. Let's put it that
Right.
way.
Yeah, like, if you could sit down with someone and say, like, "I'm not happy about this and this and this," and then you
Yeah.
guys decide, like, can you work on it? How much effort can you put in?
Mhm.
Whatever, and go forward. Let's, like, that's a partnership, even though
Yeah.
there's problems, that's a partnership, but he just doesn't treat her like a partner at all.
No, and I think some of that could have been like, he was 24, she was 20 when they got
Yeah.
married.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like it
Ugh.
kinda makes I mean, if I got married at that age, I wouldn't have good boundaries either because I had to learn some of
Yeah.
that stuff along the
Yeah.
way, but
Sure.
yeah.
Yeah. So at the end, we see that Ashley Madison is still going, which you have some information about. We'll get there in a second. But I
Mhm.
just want to draw your attention to this is what I'm talking about with him. We see Sam talking to the producers, and they're like, "Oh, Ashley Madison," and he's like, "Oh, really? Ashley Madison's still in business? Oh, I didn't know that. Huh, that's evil on a whole different level. Like,
Yeah,
oh, now it's evil."
but if you notice, told the couple that Ashley Madison was still around, and she says, "Oh, I'm really surprised," and he says, "That's evil on another level," but I'm like, "You didn't really seem surprised,
No,
buddy."
he's not
So,
surprised. He's
yeah.
not surprised.
Yeah.
So, is Ashley Madison still around? You said you did a little
Yes.
digging.
So Ashley Madison's parent company is called Avid Life, and they rebranded to Ruby Company, because the president said, they said, "We like that Ruby has a sensual feminine quality, connotes value, and fits with the fresh start our company is undergoing." So this was in 2016, and they changed the tagline from "Life is short, have an affair" to enjoy. It's like something like "Enjoy unexpected moments," but so
Oh, okay.
yeah, so it's like enjoy unexpected moments. And basically, they brand themselves as the global leader in open minded dating and innovators. They're like innovators behind Ashley Madison, Cougar Life, and Established Men. So, Ashley Madison, I think, is still for these enjoyable moments, but they're not
Mhm.
really branding it as like a cheating website anymore. And
Mhm.
then Cougar Life is pretty self explanatory. And
I think I need eyes on Cougar Life. Not gonna lie.
And Established Men is for a site for high net worth men who are too,
Mhm.
quote unquote, too busy to have relationships.
Mm.
So,
Okay. All right.
yeah.
So, yeah, company's still around. And I guess I'm wondering, like, I almost wonder if the way that dating has opened up, right?
Mhm.
How we're now accepting all these different models of what dating looks like.
Right.
If a site like Ashley Madison is still needed. You know what I
Well,
mean? Like,
yeah, and that's why it seems like they're pivoting their branded to being like open-minded dating, right? So
yeah.
kind of these like alternative or less traditional types of relationships.
Mhm.
But they're like moving away from the like deceit, like deceptive, like affair,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
lie to
Yeah.
your dumb wife at home kind of
Yeah.
branding. So
I think you summed it up perfectly. Lie to your dumb wife at home. That's the
yeah,
vibe they were trying to give off.
yeah,
100%. Yeah.
yeah,
Cuz Nia, like I said, Nia's home doing everything she can to make this guy happy.
yeah, yeah,
Ugh.
exactly.
She
Yeah,
deserves better.
yeah,
Okay.
she does.
I need to talk about Sam and Nia for 1 second, okay?
Yeah, go for it.
So, a lot of people suspect. So, here's what they didn't show in the documentary. So, they do the pregnancy video, and
Hmm.
then 3 days later, 4 days later, they have to upload a video announcing that, and trigger warning, guys, this is deals with pregnancy loss, announcing that she had a miscarriage,
Mm.
okay?
3 days later.
3 or 4 days later. Mhm.
Okay.
So, people are suspecting that the whole thing was fake. And I'm like, that's depravity if that's true, number
Yeah,
1. But also, like, I never like to assume any of that stuff is faked. Like, if
right.
somebody has a pregnancy loss, I take them at their word. They had a
Yeah,
pregnancy loss.
yeah.
But what is driving that conversation is that this happened before his name was leaked. And then people are like saying, well, if he's dealing with the pregnancy loss, people aren't going to really come for him that hard, like that kind of thing. Like
Oh,
the narrative has been
interesting.
creative, but that would mean, like, I don't know if I necessarily believe this, because that would mean she was in on it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I really don't think she was in on it.
Yeah, I mean, if she was in on it, that means, like, they've really trying to push hard this, like, branding as this Christian couple where then she forgives him and
Mhm.
she's really pushed the, like, "Oh, I'm gonna forgive him for his shortcomings."
Yeah.
So that would be pretty, I don't know,
It's
that would
pretty,
be
like, sinister to think
sinister.
that
Yeah,
way. Yeah,
exactly.
and I
Yeah.
don't get that vibe from her.
Right, yeah.
But also a lot of doctors have come out and said that pee would not work for that test. It would be too
Mm,
diluted. You know what
yeah,
I mean? It wouldn't, even if it sat there a few hours, an hour, it wouldn't work. So there's that, there's
okay.
science that's saying,
What about if she
but
was, like, farther along than,
yeah,
like
I
yeah,
don't know. I don't
yeah.
know. So the hack only happened like 2 weeks later. And then another thing is they deleted the video. Okay, so the
Oh,
miscarriage announcement video has been deleted, and it
okay.
was full of discrepancies. Like, at one point they were saying they heard a heartbeat, and at the other, like, same breath, they were saying that they had never seen a doctor for this.
W
So, like, people were, the internet. They were all over
Yeah,
this. They're like,
yeah,
something's not right here.
yeah.
Yeah.
That doesn't add up.
So that's sus. Okay.
Yeah.
Then while he's at Lagerfest or
Mhm,
whatever in Seattle,
mhm.
he gets into a fight and is thrown out.
Oh
And
my
he got
gosh.
into a fight with another Christian vlogger, because these
Okay.
Christian vloggers, I mean, they like
There's
to rumble.
yeah.
And it was over something, like, really stupid. These people had commented on the video or something, and
Oh,
I don't know, but I think he was rage induced because he knew. I
yeah.
think he was going spiraling and going out of his
He
mind.
was already, like, amped up
Mhm,
at that point.
mhm.
Yeah.
So, after this all happened, they go away.
Yeah.
There's no videos posted to their YouTube channel, but then, of course,
Mhm.
they come back, unfortunately. And,
Yeah.
of course, they're playing the persecuted religious people.
Yeah.
Everybody hates us because we're religious.
And
I
it's
just
like,
have a
no, it's because you guys lie and
yeah,
create a brand that's something
it
that's
feels
not authentic.
disingenuous, right?
Yeah.
So, their kid's name is Symphony. I mean, I that's a strike against them right there. The kid is cute, but,
Yeah.
um also, their YouTube channel today is full of videos with them complaining about the press they've gotten and how things were all taken out of context in the Netflix documentary.
Okay, so why did I was wondering, like, why did they do it? Like, the documentary kind of, like, they were the stars of the documentary
Yeah,
in a sense,
yeah,
and so, like, did they not think that if they, like, he's a vlogger, he knows you can edit stuff. Did they not think
yeah.
that if you give, like, hours and hours interviews that, they can edit things how they want?
So here's what they do. I'm gonna tell you this.
Okay,
They will have a video that's called "The Biggest Mistake We Made in the Netflix Interview" or something
okay.
like that. Okay. The video will be 20 minutes long.
Oh,
And
wow.
somewhere in there will be 1 or 2 lines about what the title is. So, like, I'm getting to the point where I'm watching hours of these
Oh
people,
my
and I'm
gosh.
like, "I can't do this anymore." Because
Yeah.
like, the rest of the video will be stupid shit, like, "Oh, I'm getting the pool ready for the kids to go in," like,
Yeah,
just stupid shit.
yeah.
So, it's like, I haven't even really gotten to it. There is one video where he's freaking see, I think he has a secret rage problem too,
Oh, interesting.
because he's freaking out because they had entertainment no, Access Hollywood
Okay.
come over
Mhm.
and do an interview with them, and he wants to film it.
Mhm.
And the guy's like, no, we're not letting you film our process of interviewing you.
Yeah.
And so the lawyers are calling each other, and it's going back and forth. And he's like, I'm not letting what happened with Netflix happen here. Like
Oh, wow.
I'm recording all of this so nothing's taken out of context. Like he's like in a rage about it. And
Oh,
it's
he's, like,
weird.
got a control problems.
Yeah, he's
Um,
I just feel a bubbling, something simmering right under the surface with him. Another thing is, and this is what I wanted to mention before, they put their kids all over, okay?
yeah.
She had, like, 2 more kids with him after this, by the
Oh,
way.
okay, so they have, like, 4?
They have 4 kids, I believe,
Okay.
I think. And, their daughter Symphony, who's, like, I don't know, a tween, maybe,
Yeah.
like, 11.
Uh-huh.
Nia makes a whole video about her going to the doctors. You see her getting, like, examined for scoliosis.
Oh my
Like, she's
gosh.
in a gown and everything.
Oh.
And I'm like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah.
Like, I've talked about this many times. As a parent, you
Yeah.
are blown away by how much your kids just trust you and you have
Yeah.
complete control over them. Even
Mhm.
I was stunned. I was like, "Wait a minute, you're just gonna do what whatever I'm telling you, you think is
Yeah.
the thing, right?"
Yeah, yeah.
But that switches. At a certain age, it's like an individuality springs up out of them, right? Like, they
Okay.
just become their own person.
Uh-huh.
And when that happens, this kid is gonna be like, "Do not
S
come near me with
Yeah.
that fucking video camera." I mean,
Yeah.
she's filming them sleeping, like, it's wild. These
That
kids are
is
all over the place.
I mean, it goes back to what we were talking about. It seems like they all have, like, boundary
Yeah,
problems,
yeah.
you know?
The daughter was in an accident,
Oh,
right,
no.
with another family.
Oh.
Everybody's okay, but, like, it was a pretty bad accident, like, the
Uh-huh.
airbags went off, they were in a van that so it had the side curtain airbags and stuff.
Yeah.
And, like, in the video, she's playing, like, the phone call of the girl to her, like, hysterical.
Yeah.
I'm like, "What are you doing?" Like,
Yeah. Oh
it's so
gosh.
gross and so exploitative. It's
Yeah.
ugh.
Well, I
S
was wondering why they chose to be on the Netflix documentary to begin with, because if this is so traumatizing and kind of so misaligned with your brand, why are you
I'll tell you
revisiting
why.
it?
I'll tell you
Well,
why.
I thought for attention
For
and to, like,
attention.
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because their views have dwindled so much. Like, they have 2 million subscribers, but
Mhm.
if you look at all their videos after this happened, like in the recent years, they're like
Mhm.
10,000 views,
Oh,
20,000
wow.
views, where they used to be like 70, 80, 100K, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Easily.
Yeah,
So
wow.
they're losing attention.
Yeah,
So now people are watching.
interesting.
Yeah. And
So do
I'm
you
one of
think
those
af
idiots.
so do you think after the Netflix show, they're getting, like, more views than they were
I think
before?
so.
Okay,
I think so. But I
interesting.
think they're also going to get a little bit more hate.
Yeah,
Yeah. Because I
yeah.
haven't really come across it yet, but I suspect there's a lot of videos that will tell me that my lifestyle's wrong because I'm not Christian and following
Yeah,
God. You know,
yeah,
there's a little bit of that. Garrick in the garage on his knees getting the wind literally knocked out of him.
yeah.
So that's it. That's where we end. What are your thoughts on the series? Did you think it was good?
I thought it was pretty good. I thought they could have it was just oddly kind of they didn't really go into what happened abroad or like, besides that little tidbit on Australia and the
Yeah.
little tagline for India. So it'd been interesting to hear more about like the global aspects of this, like
Hmm.
how it affected people in other places.
Yeah, I
But
agree
yeah,
with
I thought it
that.
was yeah, but I thought it was pretty well done. It was definitely I liked all the characters.
Yeah.
Evan, and then the what did you call him? Matt Damon, the,
Swedish Matt Damon.
Swedish Matt.
Hmm.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
really liked Evan. I thought he was funny. And
Mhm,
he
same.
they interviewed him at the end and they were like, "How would you feel if your husband cheated on you?" And he was like, "I'd be stunned."
Yeah,
Like, I don't
yeah,
judge people, but
yeah,
like, it was interesting how a lot of these, especially men, because
yeah,
that's mostly who we heard from. I don't know of any women in leadership in this company,
right.
but mostly the men in power in this company, they were able to sort of separate themselves from what they were doing, which was
Yeah,
interesting. Well, on the surface
on
anyway.
the surface, yeah,
But,
yeah. But it seems like a lot of them maybe were engaging in it too,
yeah,
like,
yeah,
Noel.
yeah.
Yeah.
No. All right, my friend.
All
Thank
right.
you so much for joining me for this. You were the
Thank you.
perfect person to talk
Oh,
about,
thank
and I want
you.
to hear more conversations between you and your husband talking about privacy lawyer stuff.
Definitely.
All right, guys, if you haven't already, follow us on Instagram, jump in our Facebook group, Backdoor Friends, and stay subscribed. Leave us a review. We love reviews. 5 stars only, if you can. And say hello to Shabnam. She's in Backdoor Friends.
Yeah,
And
hi, everyone.
she'll wave back.
Yes.
All right, friends. Thank you so much, and we'll see you soon.